Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So we are back with another episode of Chernobyl. The last episode, it was devastating. We finally got to see, for the past two season episodes, we've been told, more so what the impact of the exposure would be, and it's been a slow burn, a slow build up. It's one of the things I appreciate the most about this series so far. It's this may be one of the best series this year, or in recent memory, for that matter. Honestly, but at the same time, there isn't a whole lot by way of action and explosions and nothing like that, right? It's building the suspense and that eerie feeling you get when you know what's, and it's weird because oftentimes it, the predictability kind of takes something away from the suspense, and that build up. But I mean, we know, at least for a lot of us know what the events already are, right? So we know what will happen, but somehow that doesn't detract from the horror that we know is going to be on display, right? So it's one of those rare occasions where you know the plot, you know exactly what is going to happen, but you're still surprised by it and you're still taken aback by it. It still tears you up inside when you actually see it. The director has done a fantastic job with that so far. Uh, so we finally, we've been told so far that build up. We've been told, all right, this is what happens. But last episode, we finally got to see what it looks like. The firefighter, his wife, and I know people have been torn on both sides as to whether she did the right thing. For me, I understand that he's her husband. She loves him very much, very dearly. But at the same time, I think putting the child's well-being at risk. I don't think that's something that he would want. Putting herself at risk, I don't think that's something that she would want. So that argument I agree with, but what I think some of us are failing to take into consideration is how little she knows, right? And we saw it at the end there when Ulana threatened the nurse. The nurse said, "Okay, I'm going to tell everybody," and the KGB spies immediately, creepy dude, pops out of the corner and he's like, "Tell everyone what?" And so I think the information that's been released to the public is limited. So I don't think the wife in this situation, I don't think she knows what exactly um, is happening to him. Perhaps she has an idea, but maybe not so much the level of exposure that he was around, and I don't think she knows the full details. And I don't think people, even back then, they said it at the very beginning that this is something that has never happened in history before. So I don't think, the scientific community, I don't think the average person knew at that point what the extent to which the radiation exposure could destroy someone, could just destroy someone. So I don't think she knew. I think part of her knew. I think part of her knew and didn't care, and part of her perhaps chose to ignore it. Just chose to ignore it because she didn't want him to be alone. But I think it stems from lack of communication from the party to the public, as well as poor judgment on her part. So I think it's a little bit of both, right? But as for Valerie and Sharbina, they've done a fantastic job so far, and I do hope that I do hope that Jared Harris, wins an Emmy nomination or win for this role, because he's done a fantastic job. He's done a brilliant job so far, and the series deserves a lot of rewards. Um, Although in this current climate, it seems to be more about popularity and not so much about quality. So I don't have my hopes very high, but I do hope it. I do want it to. Now they have, kind of subverted the worst case scenario, and they now have to prepare for what comes next. They have the miners digging underneath to install the heating pad, the cooling pad, and the miners. I said it at the end of last episode that the miners are. I love them. I absolutely love the miners. They were my favorite part of last. They were my favorite part of this series so far, except for the parts with Jared and Sherbina, because I love the pair together. But I absolutely love the miners. But these guys, willing to sacrifice themselves, for the greater good. And even though it wasn't their, problem to solve, but they acknowledge that if someone doesn't do it, it won't get done. So absolutely love them for that. The head miner is just fantastic. I don't believe they said his name, but hopefully we'll see that in this episode. But he is absolutely brilliant. Um, but now they have to, draft at least, over 750,000 people to build a structure above the reactor and, flip the land around it, kill the animals, burn the trees. They said it's estimated to take 3 years and tens of thousands of deaths. Yeah. At this stage, I mean, I want to do they, since the KGB is keeping the information on the wraps, have they told these people what exactly they're signing up for? Or, I imagine they've given them an idea, but not that. All right, a few years from now, or days from now, you might just die. I don't think they've given them. I don't think they've told them everything. Because at this stage, Valerie was arguing that the area that they chose to evacuate should have been a lot larger. The area they should have evacuated more people, and they didn't. Which means that those people are still there. That means that they're limiting the information that's going to the public, because panic would have ensued and people would be running, and that hadn't happened. So I don't think they've told these drafters what exactly they're signing up for. It's dishonest. And I mean, when I saw them, a lot of them young boys, maybe just 18 or maybe even younger than that. But a lot of them were just young boys. And it was very disheartening. But we're making progress. We're making progress. So the worst so far, I fear for the miners, because I just get a feeling that something terrible is about to happen. Right? Things have been going so well last episode. Not great, but it's been going relatively well last episode, and at least according to plan, right? And of course, Ulana, still being a detective as she is, she got herself arrested, for that bit at the end there, but she didn't manage to interview Akimov and the other engineer who went down into the water. I didn't realize it was them initially because of how badly their face, was damaged. But they were the ones who were, turning the valves. I think in episode, at the end of episode 1, and they were like, I remember Akimov saying that we did nothing wrong, but the other engineer said, yes, we did. But in her interview with them now, Akimov said he said he pressed the button, and the button should have shut the reactor down, and both of them stuck to that story. So is it? I mean, did the young engineer did he change? Because the first time he said we did something wrong, but now he's saying we did nothing wrong. So I can't figure out, is it that he lied, or that we initially when he said it, he just meant that we screwed up. We did, not that they themselves did anything, but that the damage that's been caused, they've messed up. Or is it a situation where he did do something But Ulana is on it, I believe, based on what Valerie said last episode. He said they're not awake anymore. So I imagine that they have died. At least that's what I got from what he said. In which case, the only one who remains who has any information is Dyatlov. And he basically told her to F off. But, I mean, Valerie said it best. I mean, scientific curiosity. At this stage, she's not gonna. She could leave, but she's not. Well, I don't know if she can leave anymore. I think the KGB has cemented that much, but she wouldn't leave even if she could, because she needs to know what happened. And it isn't even so much for the truth or that to prevent it from happening again. It's just as a scientist, she needs to know. I can weirdly understand that, but I fear for her though. Yeah, if she gets too close to the truth, or if this accident wasn't so much an accident so much as it was negligence, and yeah. All right, guys, episode 4. Let's check it out. What is happening here? Oh, okay.
It's time to go.
Lady milking her cow. I don't think you can drink that anymore.
Why?
Because they told me, so now I'm telling you. Everyone in this village, everyone. It's not safe here. There's radiation in the air. What's wrong with you?
It's all she
You know how
knows.
old I am? I've lived here my whole life.
Yeah.
Right here, that house, this place. What do I care about safe?
I have a job. Don't cause trouble.
Trouble. When I was 12, the revolution came. Tsar's men, then Bolsheviks. Boys like you marching in lines. They told us to leave. No.
Admire
Then
her
there was
strength,
Stalin
though.
and his
You know,
family.
she's seen a lot.
Sisters died. They told the
So
rest
for
of
her,
us to
she has
leave.
nothing else to lose. So
No.
I'm
And
not
the
going
Great
anywhere.
War. German boys, Russian boys. More soldiers, more famine, more bodies. After all that I have seen. So I should leave now, because of something I cannot see at all. No.
I hate it, but I love what she said.
This is your last warning.
You just leave her, dude. Why are you gonna threaten her with a gun? Shot the cow. Yeah. Bastard.
The atom is a humbling thing.
Not humbling, it's humiliating. Why is the
No,
cause still
you
exposed
guys
to the
made it
air? Why have we
humiliating.
not already covered this up?
The debris on the roof is graphite from the core itself. Until we can push it off the roof back into the reactor, it'll kill anyone who gets near it. You see, the roof is in 3 levels. We've 2,000
They're
run
doing them
to
all
1 hour.
women's
fatal.
name.
We used remote control bulldozers in Afghanistan.
Too heavy. They'd fall right through.
So they have to use
So
men.
then, moon rovers.
Lunacard's STR-1s. They're light,
Oh,
and if we line them
okay.
with lead, they can withstand the radiation.
We couldn't put a man on the moon. At least we can keep a man off a roof.
What about this large section here?
Masha,
12,000 Rodkin.
Jesus, per hour.
If you were to stand there in full protective gear, head to toe, for 2 minutes, your life expectancy would be cut in half. By 3 minutes, you're dead within months. Even our lunar rovers won't work on Masha. That amount of gamma radiation penetrates every...
It would be fair to say that that piece of roof is the most dangerous place on Earth.
Wow. Wow.
So, what do we do?
Go investigator Ulana.
I need to see the following documents. They're listed as permission only. I'm working for the Central Committee.
Signal?
Acceptable. Running onboard diagnostics.
Tell me when we're ready to move it.
To think that's what we put on the moon.
That should cover Nina and Katya.
Marsha.
The Central Committee have informed me that they may have found something that could work up there. From the outside.
American.
Of course not.
Diagnostics complete. Ready to engage main power on motor.
Begin. Can we move it?
Yeah, it's moving.
Valer, what's that? Smile.
Don't point this gun at me. That's easy, right? You can point it at this piece of shit. I don't give a fuck. Never me. 2, if you hit an animal and it doesn't die, keep shooting until it does. Don't let them suffer. Or I'll kill you. Understand?
Okay.
Once we start, they'll run inside where they feel safe. So we go door to door. Okay? Good.
What animals are they looking for here? Dogs, I'm guessing. Yeah. I love dogs. I do not want to see this. Kill cats. I don't like them very much. Come on. Not firing. Fingers crossed. All right. Signal.
Cameras,
Camera's working.
motors.
Does it move?
Motor's good. Signal's good.
All right, let's take this easy. Forward 1 meter, reverse 1 meter.
Dog. God damn it. What happened? Cameras are out.
Did you lose the signal?
And why?
It's not a signal, it's the vehicle. It's dead.
Where the hell did they send them? Well,
Of course I know they're listening! I want them to hear! I want them to hear it all! You know what we're doing here? Dramatizes what they have done! I don't give a fuck! Tell fucking Gorbachev! Tell them!
I really need a new phone.
The official position of the state is that a glow is at the highest detected level of radiation was 2,000 Rontgen. They gave them the propaganda number.
Wow. Seriously?
That robot was never going to work.
They just wasted
We need another robot.
one that can withstand
One that can
radiation.
withstand the
Yeah.
radiation.
I've asked. There is nothing.
The Americans.
If the Americans had that kind of technology, do you really think they'd give it to us? And even if they would, the Central Committee would never stoop to us. You know it, I know it.
Jesus. It won't.
Bio-robots. What was that? We use bio-robots.
Bio-robots.
Ben.
Men in armor, clad in armor. Is there anyone still around though? I mean, I know they're supposedly evacuated everyone, but I mean, there might be homeless people or, addicts or something, or someone roaming around the place still. Ah, pups.
Don't hear me. I'm talking to you.
Just go outside.
Do you understand your mission as I have described it?
Yeah, it doesn't make it any less terrifying.
These are the most important 90 seconds of your lives. Commit your task to memory, then do your job.
It's time to go. After 90 seconds, I will ring a bell. When you hear it, return immediately. Drop your shovels in the bin and proceed down the hallway for decontamination. Above all, while on the roof, throw your debris over the rail. Do not look over the rail. Is that clear? Very well.
Somebody's gonna look over.
My mark,
Somebody's
ready.
gonna look over the goddamn rail, aren't they? And the effect to have the dust meter just going crazy is brilliant here. It was scared the hell out of me. It's like a countdown. I just get a feeling somebody's gonna fall or stumble or something. And this shit would take forever though. Look at some of the larger pieces. The time. It just saves a couple years off his life. And his suit was...
Comrade soldier.
Us to give expert testimony. All three of us. That's
So they're trying to
Before
put
that
the blame on one person
Central
without
Committee
solving the
said-
actual problem.
Legazo to Vienna. It's the headquarters of the International Atomic.
Atomic Energy Agency, I know it. What are they asking you to do?
Lie.
tell the world what happened.
Lie.
Well, then you'd better know what happened. I've constructed a timeline, minute by minute.
I don't think they're interested in
Second,
telling.
I've analyzed the data. Top to North was telling the truth. They shut the
pressed the
reactor
button.
down, and then it exploded.
But why?
I think this article may have the answer. But 2 pages have been removed.
Valerie knows something.
You've seen this before.
In 1975, at an RBMK reactor at Leningrad, a fuel channel ruptured. The operators pressed AZ5, but instead of the power going down immediately, for a brief moment,
It
it went up.
How is that possible?
Well, this is the very question of this article. When an RBMK reactor runs at low power, it's notoriously unstable, prone to swings in reactivity. Under normal circumstances, the control rods can compensate for that.
Under normal circumstances, the Chernobyl staff stalled the reactor during the test.
If the boron control rods are completely withdrawn from the reactor, when they're put back in, the first thing that enters the core isn't boron. It's graphite.
Right.
The control rods have graphite tips that display.
Why on earth would they press that button?
They didn't know.
Volkov warned the Kremlin 10 years ago.
The KGB classified it as a state secret.
I saw the reactor blown open. I still didn't think it could be this flawed.
Is that what you're going to say in Vienna?
No. They'd kill him for it.
You can't possibly be that naive.
There are 16 RBMK
Jesus.
reactors. We have to fix them. The only way to do that is to go public.
Yeah, but they won't let
Force
you
the
go
Central
public. What do
Committee
you
to
do
take
then?
action.
What you're proposing is that Legasov humiliate a nation that is obsessed with not being humiliated.
It's a
We
death
can make a deal
sentence.
with the KGB. You'll leave this information. They'll go after your family. They'll go after your friends.
You have a chance to talk to the world, Valery.
At what cost?
If that chance was mine.
But it isn't, is it? I've known braver souls than you, Khamyuk. Men who had their moment and did nothing.
We live in a country where children have to die to save their mothers. To hell with your deal. To hell with our lives. Someone has to start telling the truth.
She's right. All right, so there we have it, episode 4. You know what? It's interesting. I'm not sure what is more, what's more terrifying, seeing the people die last episode, or the dogs being hunted down in this, and mercilessly just killed. That opening scene with the old lady is my favorite thing about this episode. I mean, between the adventures of Bacho and Pavel, but that opening scene with the old lady, so they're telling her she needs to evacuate, but as she said, she's been through a lot, she's seen a lot. You're not the first man to stand at that door with a rifle in hand. I've seen wars. My brothers have gone and never returned. I stayed and I'm still alive. And you want me to fear something I can't see? It demonstrates the strength of the older generation, and some for the new too, because there are some of the younger characters here that are really great standouts as well. But between the miners and this old lady, she has the same spirit that the miners do, and I could tell the soldier didn't want to be aggressive, and thank goodness no harm came to her. They cut away from it, but I'm assuming that means that they took her to the bus, I hope, and they didn't have to resort to killing her or something like that. But he shot the cow. They were probably going to have to kill the cow anyway. So, as much as I figured initially I was thinking, okay, they shot the cow to get her to come along. But the dogs aren't the only animals that they're killing, so they would have had to kill the cow anyway. But that scene, that was a really riveting. That was a really gripping scene, and she did a fantastic job there. I wanted to talk about Vasily for a bit, Vasily's wife, and the decision that she made. Again, I said it before in the recap at the beginning that it may be that she didn't understand the repercussions. She wasn't given all the information because much of that information is still being withheld from the public. But at the same time, I mean, even if she didn't know the extent of the damage that it would have eventually caused, she knew something was wrong, right? She knew something was wrong. She knew they had some illness or they were afflicted somehow, and she knew she was told only stay for half an hour and do not touch him. That raises some red flags, so you know, okay, and if you know you're pregnant, no less, you know, okay, let me not do this. So I don't blame her, there's enough blame to go around, but I think she should have made some decisions at that point to ensure the well-being of the child, right? And we see what happens now. We see the repercussions. It only survived for 4 hours, but it saved her life. Absorbed most of the radiation. I mean, it's not an easy thing for her or any parent to go through, but I mean, at that point in time, we saw, as the camera panned to her, there are several other mothers there with children. They're alive, but I do wonder, whether they're going to be some afflictions later on, because this area should still be evacuated, I imagine, based on what Valerie said before, that the evacuation zone wasn't nearly large enough. But she's alive. I don't know how, it said the baby girl absorbed the radiation. Hopefully, I mean, to enough extent where she doesn't die, but I do wonder what happens to the wife later on, how long she does live for, or if she succumbs to any illnesses later on. So for those of you who know or are familiar with that story, you can comment below and let me know how that went. So the adventures of Bacho and Pavel, it was one of the moments that, brought some levity to this episode. Some much needed levity. No episode that has dogs being slaughtered, you need all the levity, you need all the humor you can get. And I enjoyed their this duo going through together. Bacho kind of teaching him, as though he were his son, weirdly enough, because when he first got there, obviously he didn't know he wasn't in the military before. I thought it would have told them that already, because they wouldn't have enough soldiers, at least I don't think, to send to just focus on doing just that. The soldiers, I imagine they still need the military to do all the duties, so they would have to draft citizens, ordinary persons. But it was good. I mean, from the beginning, he told that one guy, he's with me, do not mess with him. And again, I don't know why anyone would be doing that. I don't know that at this point, where you guys are, I don't know why you'd be doing that there. But he said, he's with me, don't mess with me. Gave him something to shield his balls. Like, that was all right. So I mean, and he clearly cares. Even when he said initially that I've killed several men, I disbelieved him somewhat, because he seemed to care so much for just the animals and not seeing them suffer. But as he pointed out later on, he's been to Afghanistan, he's killed people, and that changes it. That changes a man. And a lot of times in a lot of movies, how it's communicated is that after you've killed the first person, you're not you anymore. You're someone else. And I'm glad he framed it perfectly. You're still you. You wake up the next day, you're still you. You just didn't realize it, right? So that moment framed it perfectly, right? But I enjoy the father-son, banter between the two of them, and the humor that it brought. Again, I needed that. I needed that watching this episode, watching the dogs. Dogs are my favorite animals, at least pets, at least. Kill the cats, okay? I don't hate cats, but I don't like them as much. But we now have Valerie in a situation where he has a tough decision to make, right? They now know the truth. They now know what happened. This flaw was detected years ago, and the committee chose to redact it I'm sure if they, and of course, again, as I said from the very first episode, I don't completely blame Dyatlov, but he was still in a position to act at a certain point to minimize damage and the loss of lives, and he chose not to. So he's still a dick. But Dyatlov and his team weren't aware of the flaw because they were never told, because the committee wanted to appear as though they're this nuclear might, and why not just address the problem? I'm just saying, why not just try to figure out how to solve it? Why would you hide that fact from the scientists, knowing full well that it could lead to a full-scale disaster? It just doesn't make any sense to me. And these are, as someone leading a country, and now you're demanding that these people sacrifice themselves to clean up the mess that you made. I mean, Ulana wants to tell the truth. I'm with her, but again, I feel what repercussions might be for her, for Valerie, for Shabina. I imagine he will do it, or at least, I don't know, because it could be that he doesn't, which is why he ends up killing himself later on, because he felt responsible. But I want to believe that he does tell them the truth, at the very least to fix the problem, because the Soviet, they seem to be so concerned with appearances. They don't want to appear weak, but it's not weak. It's acknowledging that there's a flaw and fixing it. Right? That's not weakness. I don't know. I can't comprehend that. How you could see that as being weak. And now they're doing the very same thing, covering it up again and again and again. It's one lie on top of another lie on top of another lie, and costing lives. And those guys on the roof, I mean, screwed. I'm pretty sure he's done. Right? I didn't see whether he was injured, but it penetrated his suit, so I think he's maybe not immediately, but he's dead. And they tried to get machinery from the Germans to help, but again, the party lied and told the Germans that the radiation levels were only 2,000 Roentgen, when it's in the, I think, 16,000, at least at that location that they were. It was much higher than that, but why lie? Why? Come on. This is why it's rather important for, I think, for any government body, any official position, you need to have someone who is familiar with the field, involved in making the decisions that impact that, right? So you can't not have someone who's familiar with you just have someone in a vacuum making decisions, and he has no idea how exactly it works. So you might as well have just sent them a toy to put there. That's pretty much it, right? And now because of that, because of another lie, they had to send men to clear the debris. And I mean, that's going to take a while. You only have 90 seconds in or out, and I imagine more people are going to fumble, because if someone tells you have 90 seconds to go there, do this, and come back, your nerves, you're going to trip up, you're going to stumble. Am I running out of time? Am I doing this right? Am I careful enough? And all these things running through your mind, and mistakes are going to happen. People are going to die. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So, I mean, I can only hope. I do hope Valerie does tell the truth. The only reason they hired him in the first place was to tell a lie. He only spoke up in the committee meeting. That's the only reason that they got to this point and averted a total disaster, because he spoke up. Had he done nothing, then this would have been much worse. So this is what they hired him for, to lie on the international stage and say things are fine. But I'm with Ilana. I think it's the right thing to do. Whether it's the repercussions, I don't know. But at least I think if they do tell the truth, it grants them some protection, because if the world sees that, you know, he dies, she dies, Sherbina dies, and yeah, you know, they know something's up. So tell the truth. People are gonna die regardless. You guys are already, you know, Valerie already said it 2 episodes ago. Where, you know, the level of exposure that we've been around, you know, the entire time, we only have a few years to live at best, but eventually we will succumb to some illness. So do the right thing. Why do they have to kill the dogs, man? Why? God damn it. Alright guys, be sure to post down below, let me know what your thoughts are on this episode. If you're a dog lover like me, then this is not your favorite episode. Alright, hit like and subscribe, and I will see you guys for the next one.